Billy back here with Worship of the Nerds, and I want to start out by telling you guys that I'm going to be making some changes here soon with the way I do recording. And I get distracted easily during my videos. I'll start like kind of looking around the room or whatever, not because I'm bored, but just because I don't know, I just kind of wander a bit. So, what I'm here to tell you is that I am going to be doing some rearranging for my apartment, and I'm going to have a designated like combination of reading, writing, recording station basically in my apartment. That way I can, when I'm sitting there, I know I'm either reading, I'm writing, or I'm recording, and that's it. And I think that would really help out a lot. So I wanted to talk about horror in general before I get into today's video, which it's going to be a little bit of like a horror rundown and also Abigail review. So I'm going to start out with, and there's going to be a bunch of topics, so please be patient. Let's start with horror. So as a kid, I watched things like X Files, and um, that show was really fun. And then I got into like Charmed and The Crow, obviously, getting ready for the 4K release on May 7th, on Tuesday. So I'm looking forward to that. And I just, I don't know, like, I guess part of me always liked horror, but it was never super, super. I mean, obviously, The Crow's dark, but like Charmed and stuff, it was all kind of like age appropriate. It wasn't really that bad, if that makes sense. But then I guess the gateway to me really getting into horror, because I've always been more of like a Marvel comedy, sometimes rom-coms and action films. I like variety, right? So if anything looks entertaining, I'll give it a watch. But what got me into horror, the thing that opened the gates for me was the Fear Street trilogy. And the reason I'm showing you this book, The Wrong Number, after I watched the Fear Street trilogy on Netflix, I cannot recommend enough. It is my favorite horror trilogy and one of my favorite horror series of all time. They're really fun. But after I found out about Fear Street, the movies, and I found out they were based off books because I knew about Goosebumps, I went out and I started getting the Fear Street books. And I think I have like, not all first print, obviously, but I want to say I have between the collections and stuff, I have like the first like 10 books in this series, and then some random ones here and there that I've seen in like Barnes and Noble. But The Wrong Number, I cannot recommend this book enough either. The character's name is actually Dina, and so whenever I saw the films trilogy and then I read this book, I thought, okay, they're probably referencing to that. So this is a great book to read, basically, without spoiling the whole plot. These two friends and Dina's new stepbrother start prank calling, and they accidentally witness a murder over the phone. And then they try to like start, or they think they did, and they try to like start figuring out what happened, and they start following this guy, and things go from there. But these books are just fantastic. They're fast paced, and R.L. Stein has said that he writes the books to make it feel like you are the character going through this stuff. So that's what I love about his writing. It's because most chapters end on a cliffhanger, and it makes you go, okay, what happens next? What happens next? Generally shorter chapters, which is nice because you can sit down. I can sit down a break sometimes and read 2 to 3 chapters if they're short enough. And I love it. I love that I could, you could take this with you pretty much anywhere. And if you have, say, 10 to 15 minutes, get through a chapter. But that's what really opened the floodgates for me with horror. And then I went down the Scream rabbit hole because I had heard about Scream 6 was getting ready to come out. And my friends and I from the bro ship, Jackrabbit, Viper, I thought I had seen more screams, but I had seen scary movies and got them mixed up. So I sat down and I rewatched the first one. I remember watching it back in the day, but I had never seen the other ones. So I watched 2 and 3 on my own, and so did my friends. They came over to my apartment. We sat down and watched Scream 4, Scream 5, and then that night we went, I think we got dinner, and then we went and saw Scream 6 at the theater. We just got done with Scream 5, and I think we might have had 20, 30 minutes till the movie started. So we sort of just chatted a little bit what our thoughts were about 5. Then we ran to the theater and got to see Scream 6. And to me, I'm not big into like, I like the old school slashers. and I like the supernatural. I like more suspense horror and supernatural horror than I do gross gore. I'm not big into that, like blood and gut stuff. So I will at times kind of turn away from the camera and go, okay, we get it, they're dead. Just let's go on. But I would say favorite horror uh, series, movies, obviously Fear Street, Scream. I just recently bought I Know What You Did Last Summer Steelbook. I need to rewatch that because I haven't watched that since I was young, so I don't want to comment how much I like it because it's been so long that I don't really remember that film. Lisa Frankenstein, of course, is more just like a comedy kind of. There's some horror in there, but it's fun horror. It's interesting. Of course, I love the Halloween Town, which isn't horror, but Halloween, anything to do with Halloween, that kind of stuff. I also Pearl and X, the Underworld series. I'm looking at my collection here. American Carnage, Disturbia, surprisingly great. The Final Girls. If you guys haven't seen that, that is a movie where I actually need to show my friend Eddie, who him and I have another channel called The Trick or Treaters. But Eddie and I need to sit down and I need to show him um, what film was I looking at there? The Final Girls, because basically this woman, her mom had died. Her mom were in an accident, car accident, and on the anniversary of the film, they go to see her, and she decides her friends will kind of get drag her out to go, and she's like, okay, fine, I'll go see it. They see the movie, there's a fire, and they go try to go through the screen, and they end up in the film, and the only way to survive is to follow the rules. But then what actually happens in the film changes, so we get this really fun, like, very self-aware, very campy sort of comedy horror. So that was really, really great. So yeah, that's what kind of got me into horror. And there are different people who really sell the believability of actually being in those situations. So, and I'm all over the place, like I said, and I still have a lot to explore within the genre. It's just I sort of like to go through where I'll watch a horror film and then I'll watch a few more like action, romance, comedy films. Then I'll go back into horror. I don't just keep watching horror. 13 Ghosts, another one. I just got the collector's edition Blu-ray from a video store, which was really cool. So yeah, I like horror, but I'm very particular about it. I don't like I said, too gory. Like I have not watched the Saw films or Terrifier. I won't watch those. I think the goriest one I'm going to go see is this summer. I believe it's this month actually. I plan, or maybe it's next month. I'm going to go see The Strangers with Cheryl Blossom, Madeline Petch from Riverdale, and that'll be great, hopefully. Okay, so as you all know, Melissa Barrera was great in Scream 5 and 6 as Samantha or Sam Carpenter. And her and Jenna Ortega together played sisters. And when you look at them, you actually go, wow, they really could be sisters and they really act like sisters. They have that dynamic. And I loved the core four dynamic. I am going to get into it a little bit here. So Melissa Barrera was fired from Scream 7, which, I wanted to see. I wanted it to be revealed that at the beginning of Scream 5, when Tara got attacked, it actually wasn't Amber or Richie. What I was hoping to see was that the phone actually wasn't hacked, that Samantha and Tara's mom was actually dating Stu Mocker. And so my theory was Stu actually hacked in, or didn't hack, but actually had the apps for the smart house and was able to unlock the door because he was with Tara and Samantha's mom. And he's the one that attacks Tara at Scream 5. And that was part of a combo of my theory and what I've read online. So shout out to those who already kind of came up with that. So I'm not taking full credit for that. I've added to it. So what I was hoping was going to happen is at the end of Scream 6, we were just going to we were going to see a ghost face, but we weren't going to know who it was until 7, and we were going to find out that maybe like there's three Ghostface. One gets killed, and then at the end, where it's revealed that one is their mom and one is Stu, but they don't die. They make it to Scream 8, which will be the final one to wrap up the whole series. But now it's sort of bittersweet because at the end of Scream 6, I felt like if that was the last one, it would have been okay because the core four survive. Sam drops the mask after Tara calls her, so it shows that her connection with her sister is stronger than the possibility of her becoming a ghost face. So I really liked that ending. So when we look at that, that was great. So Spyglass fired Melissa Barrera for her comments about the Palestine situation. And I feel like they could have talked to her, but she didn't say anything that justified firing her, right? She didn't come out and really say anything too over the top. So to me, she still should have been kept in Scream 7. They should have delayed the film because, you know, if you see how many Scream films there have been since the 90s, there's only been 6. So I think they're better enjoyed when absence makes the heart grow fonder kind of thing, where instead of trying to rush out Scream 7, wait 2 to 3 years, let them do their other projects, then come back and film Scream 7 because then we would enjoy it more. And if that was going to be the final one, or say they did 7 and 8, whatever, but they should have given us like a 2 to 3 year break because then people would enjoy it more. I think I know I would because I would rewatch them up right before 7 were to come out and then go watch them again. But to me, they ended that well, but I just don't think it was justified that they fired Melissa Barrera. So, anyways, I decided, you know what? I'm going to go support her film. So, my friend and I went and saw the film Abigail. Now, the trailer obviously shows the reveal that Abigail's a vampire, and I can see it from both sides. I actually just read a article from the directors saying that they needed to get people butts in seats, and if they didn't reveal she was a vampire, it might just look like a boring ballerina movie. So I could see that. They could have I don't know what they could have done differently, but the film has just barely made budget, so I'm hoping more people go see it. I will say this, you're asking what you're getting, right? You're getting what you ask for. So basically, this group of people decide we're going to kidnap a wealthy girl or a girl her father is wealthy. So they decide to kidnap her, and it's a 24-hour thing, and then they're holding her for ransom to get the attention of the dad and to get money. And it's revealed, obviously she's a vampire, and they go through different things to try to survive. And I will say it's really bloody, but in a good way. There were a few scenes where I was like, okay, that's good. But overall, there were moments where I was laughing where I shouldn't have been just because it was just my sort of humor. There's something about horror that I find both scary and funny, to where you're like, you're an idiot for getting yourself into that situation, and it's funny. But then also when it comes to like the kill scenes, it's like, oh God, okay, yeah, that's pretty good. So if you're into that kind of stuff, you'll enjoy it. If you like vampire movies, ironically wearing a vampire shirt. Um, it's a good vampire film. I would give this. I don't like to do grade ratings. I like to go by my choice. The cast was great. Melissa Barrera. You had as the main, one of the main stars. The girl that played Abigail was great. I want to say Dan Stevens. He was great. Everybody in this was great. The acting was great. So the acting, great. Story, really good. I mean, just phenomenal. The action was great. It was well paced. Yeah, this is going to be one of those cult classics, I think. I'm going to give it 2 thumbs up. It's a great film that is worth seeing. So I would say if you can, go see it. If you can't, buy it when it comes out on DVD, Blu ray, 4K. If it comes out on 4K. It is a great film. It is a must watch for a vampire fan. I would, as far as like where I would put it vampire wise, with my favorite being John Carpenter's Vampires, I would say is probably in the upper level of vampire stuff. I love Vampire Diaries, obviously, too. I might not be comfortable saying that it's with that because Vampire Diaries had 8 seasons to give us all the lore and the story. But for a vampire film, it is definitely up there. So go check it out. It's in theaters now, and it's a fun, bloody good time. And like I said, I laughed at moments where I probably shouldn't have. But yeah, that's just kind of my sort of like, hey, I'm into horror, and here's why. I guess I just like being scared, and I like those suspenseful moments where you're like, okay, there's going to be somebody around a corner, but it might not be this one. Oh, gotcha. Tense music, turn the corner. They did that in Scream 5 really well. Whenever Wes is in his house and he's waiting for his mom to come home. And it plays suspenseful music, turns the corner, nothing, he's good. Another corner, nothing, he's good. And then boom. So that's what I like, or just like the false jump scares and then the actual jump scares. I think the funniest moment for a horror film, one of my friends and I went to see, I want to say it was Insidious, The Last Key, the one about the psychic when she's young. And there's a scene where it's dead silent in the theater, and this character goes to grab something and it like zaps him a little bit, and somebody screamed bloody murder in the middle of the silent theater. We were all waiting for like a big jump scare, and it was a zap, and it was a false jump scare, and one woman screamed really loud, and if you were there, you just heard my friend and I just laughing our butts off, because it was one of those things where it's like, gotcha, but good job for the creators of the Insidious. That's another series you should check out. But that was awesome. That was like one of my favorite moments in the theater, because it was for horror, because it was just that reaction. When we went to Abigail, I was with my friend and there were other people, but we were all scattered. So it's not the same as like, this was like Friday in the middle of the day, right? So a lot of people are at work or in school or whatever. I like being at a horror film where I'm not saying packed, but at least like half full, because part of that experience and part of the reason it makes worth going to the theater is hearing and seeing the reactions of other moviegoers. And so we didn't really get that chance with Abigail. I unapologetically just kind of laughed and went ooh at times that were gross. But yeah, that is all I have for you today. I hope you're doing well. There will be more movie reviews. And of course, some of the movies I've seen I have not reviewed yet, because I'm waiting until the end of the year to do my movies I saw in 2024. I've been to more this year, I think, than last year. I think I'm on pace to maybe break what I saw last year number wise. And to me, it's not the number, it's the quality and the originality of films, or how much I love a series. Because I was telling my friends here that I've actually been finding myself enjoying some of the less mainstream films, and that trend started for me like last year. Of course, I was going to go see Scream 6, but there's a lot of films I've seen where it's like they're their own standalone film, or they're just a film that I enjoy, that maybe not a lot of my friends, maybe I was the only one in my friend group to go see it. Or I have one friend, her and I go to films a lot, and the majority of the films I see with her. But like, I don't know, it's just something about standalone films, or like low budget or just story focused, where it's actually the acting that has to be on display and be the best part of the film, rather than just all these special effects that take away from the actual acting. And I'll give you an example to wrap it up. This is not horror related, this part. I saw Finest Kind. I bought a copy of it at Walmart. Tommy Lee Jones, Jenna Ortega, and it's about these two brothers. One's college educated, one's not, and one brother decides to join the other one and try the fishing lifestyle and see what they think. And it's really about like brotherhood and things. And there was some drama to it that I was not expecting, but in a good way. And Tommy Lee Jones and Jenna Ortega were both phenomenal in this. But to me, Tommy Lee Jones really stole the show in this film. I hadn't seen him in anything for a while, and it was almost like a hey, I'm still around thing. But I enjoyed it because you could tell it wasn't huge budget. It was on a streaming service first, but it was a well-made film where it was actually acting and story based. And those are the kind of films I've been craving lately, is more less sequels unless it's warranted. Because John Wick, you want to keep doing those, go for it. But less sequels and more, we're making a movie for the sake of making a good movie. And I think that's where I'm at right now with my personal collection, which I will at some point get into that. I need to go through my collection. I'm just afraid it's going to be like a 5 hour video. And I honestly, because I will just tell you when I do the collection video what I thought of each film, and it might just be a quick, like, this one I enjoyed. And then some of them I'll have to go into more detail. But I love talking about films, and I look forward to sharing more of that on this channel and on the more of the physical media movie channel, The Trick or Treaters, but I will continue to do videos. Of course, Jackrabbit, we're wishing you well. And yeah, thanks for coming to the channel and just spending some time with us. Leave me a comment. If you've watched it this far, leave me a comment. Let me know what some of your favorite horror films are. Mine are the Fear Street trilogy, and then I would put Scream as like a close second. But what are your favorite horror films? And what is it about horror you enjoy? Are there certain aspects of it you like? Are there certain types of horror that you prefer? Because, or the subgenres, that sort of thing. Let me know in the comments down below. And last question, and also let me know who you think the scariest killer to face would be. All right, guys, broship out. Take care, everybody.